Welcome back to Bradley Central High School here on BCHS Bear Network. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey, for the Ben Smith Coaches Show. Haven't had one in a while, so we'll get caught up with Coach Smith and see what's happened, what's going on, what we anticipate will happen. Talk a little bit about the postseason, talk about some of his wrestlers and the girl wrestlers and all that, and just a lot of things. Real exciting news happened yesterday, but let's get to that first, Coach. I guess the announcement came out yesterday that the state wrestling tournament, which will not be in Franklin this year because they're doing that as a COVID vaccine check or whatever.
Correct.
Over there, health thing, a facility, that's a county property, I guess, over there. And the good news is the traditional tournament, we moved to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Could we ask for anything better?
No, it's been 12 years since it's been in Chattanooga. We've missed it ever since. And, Middle Tennessee's been great. And I get it, central location, central part of the state, that's probably where your state championship needs to be. But when you grew up wrestling in McClellan and then coaching in McKenzie, which I've got my Chattanooga stuff on today, which is where, it's my alma mater. It's nice to be home. And, Chattanooga's a great city. It's a great area. It's a wonderful host city with a lot to do. So it's nice to see that the state gets to see that after a 12-year absence. But financially, it's nice that, that saves me 3 or 4 nights in a hotel and 4 or 5 days of meal money for coaches and wrestlers. So
sleep in your home bed at night.
Sleep in your own bed at night. We got a little bit more logistics with carpooling and wrestlers getting here and there, but it's all good, man. But we're excited to have it back in Chattanooga.
Now, what do we know yet about the duels? How they will be staged and I think they're going to separate those into different areas.
Yeah, so from what I understand, it's going to be AAA, AAA, which is large school, small school. And then I don't know if they're doing girls and Division II private schools at the same location or if they're going to have a separate location for those two. But like Centennial, Ravenwood, some of those local Franklin, Williamson County, in that general area of the Williamson County Ag and Expo Center, those high schools are going to host it. And of course, now the traditional tournament will be cut from 32 to 16.
Okay.
The the dual tournament will be cut from 16 to 8, but they've implemented a sub-state round because you got us, Cleveland, Walker Valley, and Saudi in one region, and potentially only one team would go. But the state has done the right thing, and they've given us a sub-state, so that whoever finishes runner-up in our region will have an opportunity to go to the state tournament.
And that's really the first round of the state when you get right
Correct.
down to it. It's like basketball and everything. It's just
your region champ will wrestle your region runner-up from another area. And so the social distancing, the COVID, I really appreciate the state doing their part to mitigate, to put in an extra layer of mitigation so that we can have these state championships.
Well, let's talk about COVID, man. As bad as we hate to talk about that, but it's been with us all year long, and it's statewide. It's not unfair advantage or disadvantage to either school, any school, either way, in any sport. But it's impacted if you go to them, and I'm in the media, so I'm blessed with the ability to go to and watch things and see things, which a lot of people can't, unfortunately. Now, is the attendance at wrestling restricted like a 2 tickets per wrestler, I guess, just like basketball is? And
sadly it is. I mean, we didn't really notice it much last night. We competed last night at Ray County with district opponent East Hamilton and region opponent Ray County. And so 2 traditionally smaller wrestling traditional programs. So between their fans, their household, our household, and Ray's household, that was about normal. But come Thursday when we wrestle Cleveland at Cleveland, it's going to be cut, I'm sure, by 85-95%. That's going to be different.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of a challenge match, practice type environment, so to speak. It's still going to be rowdy for those that are there and those that are on the bench. And so we won't really notice it until Thursday. The tournament we were at this weekend up at Science Hill, and the only tournament we were able to compete in prior to the shutdown, probably a little bit more crowded. It's like a home football game. I mean, like you do what you can do, and I mean, it seemed more normal than probably what I was comfortable with. But Johnson City did a great job. Science Hill did a great job of doing what they could. But like we as fans and coaches and spectators, like we have to do our job. And I wish it seemed a little bit less crowded. But this weekend was fun. It was a normal environment in a sense. But Thursday will be unique.
Well, and we'd like to continue to encourage our fans or any fans, please, when you come, if you're allowed to come, please social distance as you're requesting. It's announced on the PA every time we come in the doors. You're going to have your temp check. You're going to have to wear a mask to get in. And just please, if you want to have wrestling continue, basketball continue, and so forth, do what everybody needs to do, and let's stop this virus and keep the spread of there. And let me ask you about challenge matches. I know before the season starts, you have challenge matches, see who would be your so-called starters.
Yes.
And then you generally have them again after Christmas break or sometime along there, don't you? Do you have those this year? Is things so out of kilter?
You know, again, it's we try to be as normal as possible. You know, we got the call at 4:05 on Sunday the 27th that we could resume practice on Monday the 28th. Typically, we shut down from the day after. From the day after the Bradley Invitational until the day after Christmas. So we build in a fabricated break. So typically, we're not practicing until around that time, anyways. And like it's very quick turnaround as far as challenge matches. So we couldn't challenge immediately because we needed to practice. Like it was unfair for me to have guys that hadn't practiced in 21 days. To challenge. So like I had to delay. We practiced for a week, started challenge matches the following week, which was last week, and we're still kind of navigating that. Because again, contact tracing, COVID, you know, just sending kids home out of precaution. And, you know, I mean, like we didn't find out until Sunday the 27th that we could practice on 28th. I still had kids that were told we won't be back until the 3rd or 4th. Like Jason, like we had some kids that were like, you know, hey, I'm going to fly out to Oklahoma to see my grandpa. I ain't seen him in 2 years. Hey, I can't tell you no.
No.
So, like, technically, most of my challenge matches are done. Second semester challenge matches are a little bit different because we're still kind of figuring out. We made some switches and some swaps, and I'm supposed to have 1 or 2 today, but I'm probably just going to sit on those for a day or two, wrestle who we feel like is the best lineup for Cleveland, and then next week, prior to our big district duel with Saudi Daisy, we'll probably squeeze those in, but it's just kind of play by ear right now because our goal coming into this semester post break was give ourselves the best shot that we can have to get twofold goals. Get our varsity to the postseason as healthy and as holy as we can. Secondly, get as many opportunities for JV freshmen and girls as we can without cross-contaminating and, you know, because that's a double-edged sword. So sometimes the figuring out of our lineup where we've missed a bunch of competition helps us kind of figure out, hey, you need to go here and you don't need to challenge here, but you need to go there. We're still kind of figuring that out right now. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And probably every school, every team's in the same situation.
You know, so again, COVID is just different. You know, we're going to do challenge matches as long as we need to. Now, our kids will get their fair shot. And then if we have to challenge again after the state duels, if we're fortunate enough to go, which I think we will, then we'll challenge again right before region. But right now we're 90% done, but we've still got a few going on.
Okay. Well, it's been a while since you talked because of the holiday break and the shutdown. What's happened? I know you had a big wrestling tri-meet, I guess, last night. Tell us what all's happened since we last sat down and talked.
So the last time we talked,
back in early December.
Back in early December, we had just wrestled. I think we were fixing to wrestle Baylor. And we did, and you know they're a top 3 team prep school in the Southeast, a top 25 team prep school in the nation. I mean, they're one of the best schools around. We had a really competitive, what I felt like a really good match with them. Had our places where we could win. I think we ended up losing by 10 or 12. You know, a couple things here and there. We had a great tournament the weekend prior to that. Won the Mountain Rumble Invitational, whatever. And then we were supposed to wrestle McCallie, Arlington, Cleveland Duels, Walker Valley, Bradley Invitational, and then things went south. So since then, we just now have opened back up. We had our first competition this past weekend at Johnson City at the Fan Daddy Brawl. Had a really good showing. Lost a really close tournament title to Christian Brothers, private school out of Memphis. We seem to have developed a bit of a rivalry with them. At this tournament, you know, they beat us last match of the tournament last year, really close this year. They're good. They've not lost a tournament and this year, and I honestly don't think that we wrestled our best. Rebounded. We don't normally compete on Monday. That's kind of a basketball day. Like wrestlers need a day or two to recover and make weight. But I had to, you know, Ray County double booked a gym, and we had to move a date back, and so we wrestled last night. And East Hamilton has a really nice young team, pretty solid coaching staff, really solid coaching staff, and had a couple guys that decided to not make weight last night, and so box score wasn't what it normally is with East Hamilton, but that is a credit to their program and some of my guys not having their heads screwed on straight. But then we had a nice match with Ray County. A lot of JV action sprinkled in there in between. Coach Green allowed us to wrestle a bunch of exhibition matches. So all in all, it was a successful night, and it allowed me to kind of see coming into, black and blue week, so to speak, is what I'm hearing it's called. That we've still got, as mature as I thought we were, we've got some maturity to do, and we've got some ground to make up this week. So.
Yeah. Well, you touched on something that I hadn't even thought of, but with the shutdown, 21 days out. If I'm a wrestler, and you're out of sight and you're not talking to me for 21 days, I can't be on campus or anything like that. Man, I've got 2 or 3 little Debbie's here and a Dr. Pepper here I'm going to wash it down with. Is weight control, is it, you're not there to emphasize this every day to them. Is
correct.
You mentioned a couple guys missed weight, is that?
Well, they made weight this weekend and didn't make weight Monday, so it was kind of confusing. Now, it was their first time making scratch weight because we had a weight allowance this weekend. But yeah, I firmly believe, idleness is the devil's playground. That's the Lord's word, and that's the gospel. And I don't do well at home. I don't do well shut down. I'm a creature of habit, a creature of routine, and wrestlers that live the wrestling lifestyle, we do better in a routine, we do better in structure, and when things happen like a shutdown, you're really faced with, are you who you say you are? Are you as disciplined as you think you are? Are you a wrestler? That's
on you at that point.
Yes. Are you a wrestler? Or are you someone that wrestles, like you're present when you're present, or are you a wrestler all the time? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And
yes.
In our program, I'm really proud of what Coach Logsdon and Coach Jackson and myself have built, in the fact that we build in tons of opportunities. There's no excuse here. You have 6 a.m. workouts 5 days a week. You have coaches that stay after practice. You have year-round opportunities. Sometimes our kids are so used to they'll work out when they're here. Hey, if a coach is there, I'm there. But we've almost developed this culture of dependency. Whereas with Coach Logsdon and Coach Jackson, because look, I'm a workout guy. I'm here every morning. I'm here every morning that my wife lets me, and that's for me to be healthy and to stay fit. And that's habits that I've had since junior high, high school, and college that these guys jump in on, but some of these guys have not developed that themselves. And when you're forced with a shutdown and there's no coach there holding your hand, to me, that's the maturity I'm talking about.
Yeah. It shows you who your leaders are, who's going to step
correct.
up, who you can rely on.
Correct. And this time a month ago when we were talking, man, I was really excited about this team. I'm still really excited about this team, but what I've learned in the past 2 weeks is that, and this is a talk we're going to have today, are you a wrestler when you're at practice, or are you a wrestler all the time? Because you got to be a wrestler at the dinner table. You got to be a wrestler early in the morning when you're 0.2, 0.3 over, or 4 or 5 pounds over. You got to be a wrestler, and you have to be hyper disciplined. Any successful athlete in any sport, much less an individual combative sport, you have to be extremely disciplined in more than just the X's and O's. And so we found that out last night. We've swapped a couple weight classes around. We're an open book. I'm not on social media, and I'm not broadcasting our lineup to anybody. But we had some kids grow. When I was in high school, we had the blizzard. We had some kids go home for a month. They grow. You eat, your body recognizes it, and you grow. We had a couple kids grow. They outgrew the weight classes, and we've done some switcheroos, and we're still trying to figure out what our lineup is. And now that we've switched, we've got to figure out what our identity is with that lineup. How does Luke Belcher look at 138 versus 132? And how is Taryn going to perform at 132? How's Carson Parker going to do at 26 or 32? Those kids, they're learning how to either adjust to an elevated weight class or adjust to wrestling at a more emaciated state, so to speak. So this is all stuff that would have been hammered out had we been competing. But our mat time and our mat experience is lacking, and I believe it showed just a little bit right now.
Well, we're going to talk about what's coming up for you here in just a moment, but let's talk about your female wrestlers this year,
man.
first time, and I know you're excited about that. Tell us how the girls are doing.
So, you know, technically,
The Barretts, I guess you call them, maybe.
but you know, I don't know what you call them. You know, the Lady Vols are like, you know, the girls basketball, women's basketball at UT. The Barretts here are the girls basketball. So we've settled down with 4 or 5 really solid girls that are in the mix. 2 right now are just now kind of getting to the point where they're ready to compete, and that's Rachel Wooten and Brittany Early. But Brooklyn Stansberry and Brianna Pontes are a little bit ahead, so we got them entered into their first full competition this past weekend.
Okay.
And yeah, so I try to go to tournaments where there's both offerings, and Brianna got second. She didn't win a match there last year, and she comes back this year and gets second. And it's up in the eastern part of the state, which is the Eastern Regional, which is one of the, you know, Science Hill and Heritage have very established girls wrestling and have for several years now. And Brianna made a name for herself. And then Brooklyn, no record, you know, volleyball player. My brother wrestles. Hey, I want to wrestle. You know, she gets put in a 5-man round robin, no seeds, no criteria. She loses to the eventual first and second, but then she comes back and wins 3 matches and finishes 3rd or 4th. You know, and then everybody's looking because, you know, we're still Bradley. People know who we are. Like, people are going. And again, we had 2 girls last year. We only had 2 girls compete there this year, but when Brittany and Rachel are ready and able and healthy, we'll have 4 girls competing.
Okay.
But I really feel like Brianna can make a run at a state championship this year. And she was winning the match that she lost, made a mistake to a very experienced, just a really good girl from Heritage, really good program up there. But I'm super excited about how Brooklyn battled back, and I'm really excited about the name. There's kind of a buzz there, like, who's these?
Yeah.
Like there's the Bradley coach. There's the black and gold singlets. Like, who? Like, what? Wow, man, that girl's riding leg. Like, and they're not just doing technique. Like, they're wrestling, you know. And they just have to learn how to compete. That's different, you know. But I'm super proud of them.
Do girls have an issue with weight? Is it harder for them to keep their weight under control?
Brooklyn,
what weight classes are those girls wrestling in, I guess?
Brianna is 114, and Brooklyn is 132. Rachel Wooten will be between 119 and 125, and then Brittany Early will be whatever. Those 2 will be at 119 and 125. Brooklyn figured out what it was like to do a Bradley practice in sweats. It's different, you know. She figured out what it was like to cut weight. Now, Brianna does a pretty good job of maintaining weight, but she's got a year experience on her. You know, girls are a lot more moody when they don't eat and they are hot. And
really?
So having a daughter, you know, that
after 51 years of marriage, I figured that out.
That may wrestle, yeah, you know, that like if my wife does, and I should have known that because if my wife isn't well rested and well fed, we might have a problem. I don't know why I didn't think that would be a problem with girls cutting weight, but.
Well, okay, we're going to wrap things up here. Let's talk about what you've got coming up now. You talked about the rest of the couple of big events coming up for you.
Sure, yeah. We have, on the dual meet side of things, we have our non-district dual with Cleveland. They're District 7, we're District 8, so really that doesn't have any implication for anything other than, like Colby Dills and I were just talking, like Bradley and Cleveland need to be playing basketball and wrestling each other, like on all levels, in my opinion. You know, like from girls to freshmen, like that experience gets them ready for the big nights like Thursday. You know, and so Thursday we wrestle Cleveland at Cleveland. Joey's not told me yet if it's going to be at the Jones Center or if it's going to be at Raider Arena. Neither one matters to me. We're excited. They're defending state champions. We're a better team than we were last year, and I think they are too, so we're excited to see where we are. You know, they're state champs until someone knocks them off, and hopefully that's us rather than a Wilson Central or a Blackman. But, you know, I'm sure we'll have a lot of JV action. I'm sure that we'll have there's going to be a lot of competitive matches there in between, and I think on paper they're better. You know, I mean, like, you know, you know, I'm not a film guy and I'm not a stats guy. I try to control what I can control, and that's my team, and that's my practice. That's our thoughts, our attitudes, our actions. My assistants pay a little bit more time and attention to that, but I've looked at some results. Finally, I even told my dad the other day, I was like, yeah, I probably better start looking at it, But I don't lose sleep over it because I get an idea of what we need to do, and usually my first gut reaction is what we go with. But I've looked at them the past day or two, and their results from a few weekends ago and last weekend, and they're good. And Wilson Central's good, and we're going to have some things go our way, and we're going to have to wrestle exceptionally well. And
Saudi Daisy coming up too.
And then we got Saudi Daisy, which is our most important district dual meet of the year.
And that's your last home match.
It's our only home match, and we'll do a combo senior night, alumni night type thing as well.
What day is that coming?
That'll be next Thursday. So a week. That'll be the 21st. Okay. Yeah, and so if we win that, we'll be district champions. Cleveland will more than likely finish out district champions with them. We'll wrestle on the 23rd for the region title. Loser of that will have to wrestle the Region 3 champion, which Maryville Heritage, those two would probably be one of those.
Okay.
So, if we don't win the region or Cleveland, whoever doesn't win between us, Cleveland, Saudi, or Walker Valley, will still have a shot at going to the state tournament. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we'd like to thank you for joining us again today. We'll try to make these more frequently, and hopefully won't be shut down and have holiday breaks again until the end of the season. But we want to wish you the best of luck in the matches coming up here in the next few days.
Sure.
And for the rest of the season, especially going into the postseason there. Glad to have it back in Chattanooga. And folks, got to remind you folks, if you come and you're not on the list to be admitted to the match or the game, whatever, please don't take it out on the person that's telling you. They're just doing their job. Yeah. There's a list submitted of the folks that are allowed to come into the games or the matches, and please respect that. And also, please social distance, wear your mask if you're in public, or if you do get to come into the games or matches, whatever. Please, we need you and depend on you to keep this season rolling. Without your help, it'll never happen. But for Coach Ben Smith, I'm your host, Gary Ownbey, saying so long for now. God bless, and go Bears!